Hello students, let us learn lesson number 17. No formalities please, part 2. If you remember part 1, we have seen that Mrs. Desai had taught the students how to write a formal letter. Formal letter means it follows a certain format and it is written to seniors, authorities, etc. Now let us see part 2. Mrs. Desai met the principal soon after the class. She told her about the excitement that followed the announcement of new books in the library. After the class, Mrs. Desai met the principal and told the excitement of the students. They just cannot wait to read all those lovely books. She beamed. The principal was also delighted and praised her. The credit goes to you, Mrs. Desai. You have created and aroused their interest in reading books. It is going to help them a great deal in future. Let us see the hard words. Beamed, broad smile, delighted, great pleasure, praised, admire, aroused, awake. The principal is praising Mrs. Desai and Mrs. Desai is also happy that students are happy to read the books and principal is giving this credit to Mrs. Desai. Yes, madam, said Mrs. Desai, but they find the weekly library period too short a time to read. So, my students are going to appeal to you to allow home issue of books. They have written to you a letter of request. Mrs. Desai further adds that students have written a letter to the principal. A letter? Why? Asked the principal in surprise. Now the principal is surprised and she is asking what is the need to write a letter. I had to teach the class how to write polite formal letters and I took this opportunity to make them actually write a formal letter, explained Mrs. Desai. Now Mrs. Desai is telling the reason that when she was planning to teach them to write a formal letter, this subject that to allow home issue of books was the good one to teach them. Excellent, Mrs. Desai, explained the principal, and I shall not dampen their interest in reading. I shall certainly allow them to take books home for reading. Now, the principal is also agreed to give permission. The next morning, the principal found the letter on her desk. She signed the letter with the remark, permission granted, and sent it to the librarian. To encourage the children of class 4 further, the principal instructed the librarian to give a written reply to the students, and here is what he wrote. Instructed means command. The principal gave the command to librarian to give a written reply to the students. Librarian means administrator in the library. Now let us see the letter on page number 38. The letter is written by the librarian, so here is his address, and to the students of class 4. Dear children, I am delighted to know that you are too keen on reading the new books in our school library. Delighted means happy. The principal has been kind enough to grant to you class permission for home issue facility. I shall keep the library open for an hour after school on all weekdays. You can come and collect any one book of your choice and return it the following week. But I must urge you to read and observe the library rules displayed in the library. Here urge means request. The librarian is requesting that the students should take care of the books and they should follow the rules. Do come and enjoy reading the books. Sincerely yours, Mr. Vijay Patil, Librarian. Now let us see page number 39. Hey, great news, cried the monitor. Look, we have received a letter from the librarian. And guess what? We can take storybooks home to read. Now, The monitor of class 4th has cried. Cried means shout. He shouted that they have got a permission to home issue of books. Wow! Exclaimed Shruti with bright round eyes. Shruti is also happy and she is exclaiming, "Goodbye, boredom. Welcome, happy hours," shouted Akshay. Akshay is also happy that they can spend their time in reading the books. The letter from the librarian was put up on the class notice board for all to read. Now, the letter by the librarian was put up on the class notice board. When Mrs. Desai walked into the classroom, the students of class 4 burst out into many exclamations of thanks. Now all students are very happy and they have burst out means what? Every student wants to say thank to the teacher Mrs. Desai. Shall we write a letter of thanks to the librarian? Suggested Manuja. Student Manuja had suggested that can they write a letter of thanks to the librarian? That's an excellent idea, said Mrs. Desai, smiling to herself at this new interest in formal letter writing. Now Mrs. Desai is also happy that students are eager to write another formal letter. This is the letter of thanks the children wrote to the librarian. Now let us see the letter. Class 4, Pragati Vidyalay, Vachanpur, 8th July 2014. Means this is the letter by students class 4 as their address is here on the right corner of the page. To the librarian, Pragati Vidyalay Vachanpur. Subject, an expression of thanks. As it is a formal letter, the subject is very important. Dear Sir, thank you ever so much for kindly making the home reading facility available to us. We are really grateful that you are going to wait back 1 hour after school just for us. We can now read books for our choice at a stretch. Thank you very much for your encouragement. We promise to abide by the library rules and handle the books with great care. Many thanks once again. Yours faithfully, students of class 4. Abide means accept. As the librarian was so kind that he was ready to keep the library open for an hour after school so students can take the books which they want. So the students want to say thanks to the librarian and they are ready to follow the rules. Now let us see the exercise on page number 40. Question 1. You wish to use the assembly hall to hold an exhibition of your science projects. Write a letter to request the principal to allow you to use the assembly hall. Exhibition means a public display of art or other items. So here is the exhibition of science projects. So you are going to exhibit these projects and you want your school's assembly hall, and for that you need a permission of the principal. So you should write a letter to her. Question 2. Mr. and Mrs. Prabhune, past students of your school, have given you every kind of help to hold the exhibition. Write a letter of thanks to them. Now, this is the letter saying thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Prabhune. Why? Because they are the past students of your schools, means they have learnt in your school previously and they have helped you in your exhibition. So you should say thank to them through the letter. And here is the answer of the question 1, question 2. Now question 3. Find one example of each kind of sentence from the passage you have read so far. So first is statement, commands or requests, exclamations and questions. These are the 4 kinds of sentences and you should write every example or each example for each kind of the sentences. So here is the exercise. Thank you.